I'm going to go ahead and introduce our speaker today, as well as the course facilitator, hand it off to David, and then Chris will take us on. So today we have Chris Halliwell, and she is a technology marketing expert with over 45 years of experience in the industry. I went back to look at your LinkedIn, like 1977. That's amazing.
My gosh, you're not supposed to say that.
Okay. You're well seasoned, let me put it that way. And she has worked with major clients like Cisco, IBM, Northrop Grumman, Philips, St. Jude Medical, just to name a few. She's advised startups in various technology development, including batteries, sensors, data analytics, immunotherapy, and so much more. Chris has been an instructor at UCI for this particular course series, the Business Concepts for STEM Scientists. And throughout her years, she has continued to be guest lecturers in innovation and entrepreneurship types of courses at Caltech, at UC Berkeley, as well as University of Missouri, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. She is well experienced in this area. And I've had the luxury of actually working with her through a National Science Foundation I-Corps program. We conducted over 100 customer interviews and other players in the ecosystem for the pediatric medical device space. And it's been an absolute pleasure to be able to work with her through that. And I'm so excited to be able to work with her in the coming year as well. I actually got to participate in the inaugural launch of this program as a PhD student, and it's given me such a wider breadth and perspective of how the world works. And I didn't realize how complicated it was, but also how simple it was once you truly understood sort of the ins and outs and how people were making decisions at a broader, higher level. And so before we hand it off to Chris, I'm going to go ahead and actually hand it off to Professor David Fruman, our academic director, to share briefly about the history of the program, and I will drop in some links into the chat for you to view.
Thank you, Joanne. That was very nice.
Yes, thank you, Joanne, and thank you, Chris, for joining us today for this information session, for all you've done for this course over the years. Yeah, so when GPS Biomed was moving along, we realized we knew all along that a lot of people wanted to move in industry. We're moving into industry, and although many primarily would start in R&D positions, they may have the technical skills and analytical skills to succeed in different research environments, but often they didn't understand exactly how companies worked, whether they're startups or mid-sized companies or large companies, and what is a business model, what are the different players, the stakeholders, the resources, and what do different positions mean within the organization. And so what we wanted to do is take advantage of the fact that we have Beal Applied Innovation here and bring in some experts to really, talk to people with academic training about how does businesses work. And it'd be particularly valuable for those who may see a future as entrepreneurs or working in startups where you wear many hats. But even within larger companies, what I've come to learn is that there's this culture of intrapreneurship. So if you want to propose a new program or advocate for resources, it's good to understand the concepts of the company. And so we've run this program for, I think we've had 4 iterations of it, and it used to be called Business Concept for STEM Scientists. And then we changed it a few years ago to, so you can see that there, Industry Insights. And I think one of the key elements is the pitch competition at the end, where you actually put into action what you've learned as a teams. And it's always very exciting to see those pitches and hear the questions from the expert panelists, and then have a little celebration at the end. So I feel like this is a quite valuable program. Those who've been through it feel like it's benefited them in their application and success once they've been in companies. And I would just like to see more people participate. And that's why we're here today, is for you all to learn more about it and maybe go out and proselytize to your friends about, come join us in the fall with this expert course instructor, Chris Halliwell. So that is my introduction. And with that, I'll hand it over to Chris.
Well, thanks everybody for coming. I appreciate that, your initial interest. So I'll try to boost that up, not dampen it. So what is the course? It's 8 weeks. I think the most important thing is that it's practical. Because of my experience, as Joanne talked about. So I bring in examples from industry, some projects I've worked on, both with large companies and startups. And those can be anything from microelectronics to materials to med tech, et cetera. So we try to get some breadth there, because I know that, it's often you just even getting that research position is very important in industry. But once you get that entry level or research position, then what about your career? And so it's good to see, where that career can go in some of these industries and what you might need to really chart your own career path and actually show your value to the organization. So it's exciting to me. There's no reading, no tests, just videos, and then a lot of classwork. So it's team-based certificate program where we're going to do this team project that David referred to. So what you're going to get out of that, our objectives are, you're going to get the lingo, so that you can see a lot of times when you approach a new subject, this as a PhD, that a lot of learning it is just getting through the lingo and understanding what the words mean. And then you see, oh, I have a lot of knowledge I can apply to this. I just needed the lingo. So we're going to give you the lingo of business. And it's, as Joanne said, it can be off-putting if you don't know it, but it's super simple once you've been exposed to it. And we're going to use the Business Model Canvas, which is a tool out of Stanford that really kind of gives you a little bit of an overview of what does a business consist of, and how does it make money, and what is value, et cetera. And in understanding that tool, that's how you'll pick up the language, and that'll come in very handy, as you start interviewing for jobs. The most important thing though, is that you're going to understand how your expertise and your experience with the scientific model is incredibly valuable to a corporation, to a small business. It's incredibly important to business. Why? Because business has two characteristics. One, it is a lot of variables. It's probably the most variables you'll ever have to deal with in your scientific career. And two, it's changing all the time. So we have all these variables and they're all in motion all the time. So someone who can come in and sort of say, okay, well, based on what I know about these variables right now and the trends that I can see and so on, I'm going to form a set of hypotheses about how I can get a customer to pay me money, and they're going to pay me enough money that I can make a profit, that I can run a business. And so you come in with this knowledge, you come in with this ability to take all these variables, create hypotheses, you understand how to test a hypothesis, and then go back and say, okay, here's the next thing I should learn, and the next thing I should learn. That is the essence of the best business people I've ever met. And most of those terrific business people and successful people started out in high tech, in a tech-driven business, as a researcher. They started out with a PhD. So you've got a great career ahead of you if you just understand that you come at it with all this value. If you look at the final bullet on this, I'm hoping everybody gets I put too many words on these slides. I hope they get a copy of them. They can read it later. But the final bullet here, it's not just getting the job and being able to articulate what you bring. It is once you're in the job, these opportunities come up. And typically they're called innovation initiatives or new product development initiatives or whatever. But they're typically cross-functional teams. And this could be in a startup is doing this all the time, but in a big company, as David mentioned, entrepreneurship is what it's called. But it's these teams that are trying to figure out how to innovate. And all that motion and all those variables, that's an opportunity to innovate. You just need to be able to sort your way through it. And you guys are so well prepared to do that. So I'm excited for you. And I really hope that I get to see you in the fall. And the next slide. So I've kind of said all of this, but maybe I actually talked to this already. Let's see if there's anything else here. Well, the second bullet, Joanne mentioned that there are other jobs in addition to research jobs that are sort of research adjacent. And one of the main jobs is called a business development manager, which doesn't have any inherent meaning, but we'll take some of these research adjacent jobs and we will show you what really is that job. And we will show you how your skills would specifically fit into that job. So that right away doubles, your opportunity of things when you start looking at a company. Gee, maybe I should go look at their business development positions or anything related to intellectual property. I should go look at that, and not just the research positions. So I think I said everything else that's on this slide. And we kind of covered that one. next one. Oh,
Do you want to make a note about your other speakers?
oh, yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Joanne, my friend. Yeah, so Dr. Fruman mentioned Beal Applied Innovation Center. And what goes on over there is they have a lot of corporate relationships. It's basically tech transfer, but then mixed in with entrepreneurship and innovation. But they have a lot of corporate relationships, so they understand innovation and entrepreneurship in terms of corporations. But then they also are the key proponents on campus to commercialize, R1 research, UCI's research portfolio, which is what Joanne's other day job is. She's off trying to commercialize some UCI technology. So we have access to this ecosystem of people that are, there's a whole group of people at Beal called Innovation Advisors. We have access to them. We have access to Matt Hansen is a particular proponent of this course, and he is teaches the business finance module of this course, which we're going to broaden a little bit and tie it to the business model canvas. And then we have access to somebody like a Steve Nguyen, who is one of the IP people over there. So he'll come and talk to us. We get innovation advisors. They come and talk to the course. They do panels. And then the main thing is they come and judge the competition at the end. So you'll get help doing your presentation, and then you'll get real world feedback from all of these executives and entrepreneurs when you give your pitch, and you'll really enjoy the whole process, I think. Is that it? I think, okay. Course feedback, I'm just going to cover the highlights and the lowlights. The biggest highlight is that people seem very satisfied that they now have business lingo. And like I said, that just opens up a whole world of opportunities when you can start to discuss how great you are using the language of the person that you hope is going to hire you. So that part, I think we're just killing. The rest of it, we're doing okay. At the bottom, the complaint has been that we have time in class for you to do your teamwork, but each time we offer the class, we offer more and more of that. So we're trying to really give you the time you need, that you shouldn't have to spend a whole lot of time outside the class meetings, maybe a little bit. I think Joanne will cover that at the end. But we're really working to give you enough time in class so that this isn't a burden on the rest of your schedule. I'll hand it back to you, Joanne.
Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of tech stuff on the back here, just so I can make sure we get all the audio correctly. But this is just some example of the pitch competitions that have happened in I believe this should be 2020, and there's also video for 2022 online for you guys to watch, and I'll send those links if you just want a sneak peek. But I'll let this play for a little bit, and then we'll go to a particular presentation so you can check out what that might look like for you in the future. That's just a high-level overview of everything that we've shared thus far. I'm going to go ahead and jump to a very particular one that we had a favorite in. And let you guys watch what your final product might look like.
So the teams pick whatever concept is interesting to them, and depending on the makeup of the team and so on, and they just run with it.
Called Cellulearn. As many of you are aware, despite the really great efforts of many academic, clinical, and industry researchers, the ability to get a discovery from bench to bedside takes a lot of time, a lot of money, and the success rate is extremely low. So in order to help address this, we've developed a product called Cellulearn, which is an AI-driven software for Oh, I was just muted for some reason.
Sorry, that was my bad. Go ahead.
Okay.
Technical technical issue.
It's an AI-driven software for stem cell image processing that will help reduce time and cost and improve cell type classification, which I'll tell you why that's important in the next few slides. This is a picture of our overall business model canvas. Before we actually get into the business model canvas, I'm going to be describing the product in detail, as well as the value that it brings to our customers. So our product brings the greatest value to stem cell researchers. These are stem cell researchers in academia, industry, or in a clinical setting. And if you're unaware of the power of using stem cells, here's an image right here in the middle of some stem cells. And the power of using them is that you can turn them into any cell type in the body. And then from there, you can either do R&D on them, or you can use them for stem cell therapies. So before you can actually use the cells though, you have to kind of classify and quantify the cell types that you actually created. And so the traditional method of doing this is called staining. And staining creates these really beautiful images that you see here to the right, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of money, and it's really ineffective. And so our market research shows that stem cell researchers would really like to bypass this step if they could, because it's a huge problem and a lot of cost. So our product, CelluLearn, helps circumvent the need for this, and you can actually take these images directly and either upload them to our standalone software that's web-based, or we have a product that is integrated within a live imaging system that you can actively view your current cultures in. And CelluLearn can take these images and then use artificial intelligence to actually overlay a mask showing you every single cell type that you have in your culture, as well as giving you a rough percentage breakdown of each different cell type that you have in your culture. And so when you think about the bench to bedside pipeline, which is depicted here to the left, again, in order to get from discovery to market deployment, it takes many, many years, and the success rate is extremely low. So our product CelluLearn brings value by decreasing the time it takes at each different stage within the pipeline, and including at market. And because of the increased accuracy and reproducibility, the success to market should be increased as well too. And so generally speaking, our product will reduce cost, increase speed and efficiency, and increase accuracy and reproducibility. And depending on what you value most as a customer, you can choose one or both products that would fit your specific needs. And so now I'm going to hand over the presentation to Andrea, who's going to go into a little bit more detail about these different customer segments.
I'm going to take a pause there, and you all can watch it at ends, but that's just sort of the icing on the cake for you to go back and to watch where you'll be. But it's really taking any idea that you deem would be feasible and or in your imagination, and then building sort of that business concept onto the block, the foundation, and then being able to pitch it in this way. And so as scientists, you are capable of doing this, and throughout this course, you'll be able to learn how to achieve that type of vernacular, but also ability to propose and to position yourself as if you are an imagined company, or possibly your future company, to be in this type of pitching position. So you can watch more of this throughout the at your own time, but I'm not going to force you through that. So coming back to our slides then. So just at very high level in terms of our success with our participants in the past, for example, Kristen Gabriel, she now works as a customer success manager. That's not a typical title that you would see for PhDs, but they most definitely benefit from both your expertise as a scientist, but also now using and leveraging this type of industry insights course to be able to speak on behalf and understand sort of the ecosystem that happens from product development, technology innovation to customers and how you actually make a sale. And just to highlight really briefly this, just to read really briefly then, that this was the most beneficial element of the industry insights course was the business pitch competition. So what we're building you up to be successful in, and that it's such a unique opportunity to acquire rigorous business problem solving skills, leadership training, strategic thinking, and creative communication skills. And this course essentially helps emphasize all of that. And this was really a key aspect that helped her through building a competitive edge to transition from academia and to industry. We also have Cameron here, who took some time to pivot from mathematics to a data scientist role. And I believe it took him almost a year to be able to find his role, but he was very successful at that. And now he has a fully remote role where he can work from wherever he wants to. But it was sort of that jump towards industry and understanding his transition there. And part of that understanding came from this course. So not only did I learn about the business jargon, financial statements, and the business model canvas, I really benefited from getting to hear from the perspective of business experts from various industries. So I know we talked a little bit about the immunotherapy and the cell culturing and the visualization of more biological sciences, but the world is your oyster. You're welcome to apply this to any type of industry of your desire. And you can use this as portfolio material when you do apply for roles. And just some more high-level testimonies about demystifying the industry, being able to overcome this challenge that you never would have thought you would be able to do of creating a business pitch, and that the students may benefit more if you're taking it from your last 2 years, so you can really leverage this material after you've come through sort of the early stages, but we welcome all levels of students. And for other folks who were able to use this work almost immediately with their biotech startup, with their PI work, or even co-founding their own company. So there's many different avenues that you can leverage this information throughout the course. Going into more logistics aspects, the typical schedule you can see here is really just to start with the introductions and overview, give you the foundations of the BMC, the business model canvas, and having you start to work in your teams and we try to integrate time in the course so that you don't have to work outside of the course. Give you sort of the foundation through commercialization, the insights, working with outside speakers, business development, and then finally landing you and working with Bree as well to be able to prepare you for essentially your business pitch. So with final presentations, our business pitch competition, about 10 minutes and 5 minutes of Q&A. We also have awards for folks who do really well. And this is a great, again, resume booster and way to build out a portfolio for you moving on into the future. So this will be readily available. These slide decks will be readily available for you. So you can review this in your own time. But some common questions that I've gotten is, how much does this course cost? It's absolutely free. The date and time right now is pending for fall 2023, and we'll be starting around week 1 in October's 2nd week. The certificate requirements in order for you to get one is to attend all classes, and with one exception, you complete the assignments and to complete the feedback sheet, so that way we know how to improve in the future. And for timing and how you can integrate this into your schedule, think of this of about an hour and a half weekly and 2 to 3 hours total max if you're going to be working with your team, in addition to being able to create a comprehensive pitch. This is sort of on the low end, but it can go up a little bit more if you're really spending a little bit more time refining and getting the maximum out of this program. But let's say if you don't, and you just want to be successful in general, this is all that this really requires you to be able to successfully understand the material, but also to be able to create a pitch and portfolio material. And with that, Chris, did you still want everyone to sort of introduce themselves, or we can move into Q&A? You're muted.